Hello, welcome back to the post-match pint in association with Purity Ale. If you tag Villa View, you'll get 10% off all their Villa beer-related goodies, so go and check that out. Joined tonight by Omar from the Villa Talks podcast. Great to have you on, mate. We haven't had you on for a while. How you been?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, it's been a hectic time for me. Got number 3 on the way, so been preparing for that. So yeah, apologies I haven't been shows. So probably no one's missed me really, because it's been a tough period, isn't it, for Villa?
Well, I was going to say we probably have missed you, because last time you were on, we were probably it felt like Villa were in a bit of a better place than we are now. The season's petering out a little bit, but we have managed to salvage a point against pretty much relegated West Brom. I think that point probably has put the final nail in the coffin for them now, which is great, but not a really great performance from Villa. I mean, just before we came on, you read the XG stats out to me, and I've got to say I'm absolutely flabbergasted by them.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I think 3.41 versus 1.72 or something like that. 1.76. I don't know where that's come from, because it seemed like West Brom had we had good chances, definitely, but it was far too end to end that game. I thought we didn't manage that game well at all, and they had some really good chances. Well, it was nearly an own goal by Konza as well. Pereira had a chance, hit the bar, hit the post. Yeah, I don't know how they calculate these XG stats, to be honest. I have no idea.
I mean, I said to you, even the goal we scored at the end, probably about 2 seconds prior to the ball hitting the back of the net, the XG on that must have been quite low, because West Brom should have absolutely dealt with it. Because I was getting ready to come on here and actually say, Emi Martinez has saved us really with a couple of excellent saves at 2-1. Without those saves, Villa don't come back and get the point. But I was kind of a bit annoyed by the fact that, like, in stoppage time, it actually felt like we look quite good here. We're fizzing the ball in the box, we're causing them problems. But I kind of think, where was that urgency at 1-1? Where was that urgency earlier on at 2-1? And I'm unsure why it took so long to bring attackers on as well, because we clearly needed to change something.
Yeah, I don't know. I said to you on our chat that I have no idea. As soon as Keenan came on, I was like, why hasn't this change happened 10 minutes earlier? I don't understand. What were we waiting for? I mean, yes, we were, we're looking threatening, but it was because the game was end to end. West Brom were giving us chances. West Brom were a poor side. Let's not forget. Yes, they've won games recently, but their defense can be got at.
They're weak defensively.
Yeah, exactly. And I know we're missing players, but there's no way we should be in that position. We started well for the first 20 odd minutes or whatever, and then after that we seem to lose a bit of composure. But when the games are going against you, I don't understand why. I mean, Ramsey's the first change he makes, and Ramsey, actually, to be fair to him, I thought played fairly well actually when he came on. He sort of distributed the ball well, played well with McGinn, and sort of started our attacks well. But Keenan Davis, I don't understand what Dino's got against Keenan Davis. Last time Keenan Davis played for us properly, he's come on, he's assisted a goal, he's looked lively, and this game was crying out for him against West Brom. We needed someone just a bit more physical, just to get in and amongst them a little bit and just ruffle a few feathers. And he did the job when he came on, but he always does that. Yes, his finishing can be lacking, but I'm so happy for him, to be honest. He's got that goal. He's been waiting for ages, and his anticipation and his determination got him that goal in the end, and he saved Dino really, I think, in the end.
Yeah, I was getting ready to go on social media and the team to be getting absolutely pelted. I mean, I'm sure that's probably still happening, such is the way of social media. I'm not for any second trying to dress that up as a good performance or a good result, but to be honest, I just feel a sense of relief that we've come and clawed something back from that game, because, to be honest, I didn't see it happening at all going into stoppage time. On Keenan, just quickly, because we'll go back to the start of the game, but I mean, 2 of the last 3 home games now, he's come on and made an impact and done pretty much all you can ask of him, really. He's got two or 3 goal involvements now from those substitute appearances. It does make you wonder, doesn't it, why he wasn't on earlier?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. Even games, even against Man City, games in the past where after the Fulham performance, I thought, this game's crying out for him. I haven't really understood why he hasn't been involved, but yeah, I don't know. Dino sees him and the team see him off the pitch and training. Maybe there's more to it. I don't know. I can't say. We're just judging purely on performances. But if you're judging purely on performances, then you should be involved. You should be playing. Maybe not starting, but definitely should be coming on. Especially when we're losing 2-1 and we're dying for a goal. He's probably not going to score goals, although obviously he did today. But he's going to at least create chances, create space for other people to work in. But I suppose if you take away if you're looking at the positives are we've probably sent West Brom down. Let's be honest, which is a nice thing to do. And Wesley's back. and he looked fairly okay. I thought fairly
Yeah,
lively.
made a
And
difference.
And Keenan's got his goal that he's been waiting for ages, and hopefully he kicks on from here.
Yeah, it was good to see Wesley back on the pitch. Obviously, a really horrible 16 months for him. His injury was way worse than has been reported as well. They've had to do some unbelievable work behind the scenes to get him right. So credit to everyone at the club on the medical side of things for getting him back on the pitch, because I think to actually have to find out what's actually happened to him, getting him on before the end of this season, I think that's a massive thing for the club. So well done to everyone now. And having him on, it did, like, again, having him and Davis, it just occupied West Brom. It enabled us to come forward a bit more and be a bit more direct. And it does show something that we haven't had this season, is those forward options to bring on in games. And it does show you against the lesser lights of the Premier League, just by having a forward to bring on, or two, it does make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, do you think Dino's reluctant to make those changes because maybe he's not got trust in those players? Because you think of Keenan Davis, and he wasn't really getting many games in the Championship, never mind the Premier League. And if that's our second option, do you think it's one of those? Is that it's the case that Dino thinks actually he's not going to do anything anyway? I'm a bit stuck here, and that's probably why he's so reluctant to make changes. Or do you think there's more to it? I don't know.
But he's brought him on in 2 of the last 3 home games, and he has made a difference. Again, it's against lower opposition teams you would expect us to be in a game when we've been struggling. I think he can be useful off the bench, because he does occupy defenders, and that perhaps, especially when Jack Grealish isn't playing, that perhaps frees up a bit more space for Ollie Watkins. It's a funny one, because like you say, he didn't play much under Smith in the Championship, albeit I think he had a few injuries in that final Championship season for us. But it is what it is. That's what's there, isn't it? I'm sure in an ideal world we'd have a couple of strikers that Dean Smith really rates to call up and bring off the bench, but for whatever reason they aren't there. And if he's there and he's proven in a couple of games now that he can do damage against those kind of sides, you got to say he probably should have been on earlier. But thankfully he's come on and got his goal. He did well to sniff out the goal as well, for someone who we associate as being a natural goal scorer. He's sniffed out that opportunity quite well and tucked it away. So that was a great thing. Let's go back to the start of the game then. So obviously 6 o'clock, teams announced. I think most people would have been quite surprised to see Ross Barkley's name on the team sheet. You've said it already in the week. It could have been that Ross Barkley has had an unbelievable week in training, and Dean Smith felt right, this is the game for him to come back in. He's probably one now. Whatever he does, he's going to get slated. But out of the central midfield 3, I actually thought he was the most dangerous and the most likely to do something for us. He won us the penalty. I'm not saying it was vintage Ross Barkley or a vintage performance by any stretch of the imagination, but I just felt today he was a threat, which is something.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I was surprised definitely to see him in the lineup, because I thought, given what was said in the week about us not potentially buying him and not looking at a permanent deal, I thought maybe Dino sort of, maybe thinking from one eye to the future and may play Ramsey or sort of, just use him sparingly. But I was surprised he did start. But I was glad he started, because with Ross Barkley, I think he's one of these players, on his day he can make a massive difference. And I think Dino took a gamble. He thought, this is like you said, lower quality opposition in the Premier League. He's going to get time and space. Their defense isn't the best, albeit obviously they've improved under Allardyce. This is the kind of game where if give him a chance, and hopefully he gets the space to do something. And he did. In the end of the day, he looked dangerous. Yes, he wasn't vintage. It wasn't a perfect performance or anything like that, but it was much better from him. He was committed as well. He was determined. He was trying to make things happen. And you need that bit of quality. We've been lacking in the final third for ages now. Defensively, we've looked decent. Well, apart from today, which I've actually thought we were very poor defensively. But for most part of the season, even when we've been bad, we've looked good defensively. It's just been the attacking third without Grealish we've been lacking. And I think maybe Smith thought, actually, let's get a bit impetus in the final third, playing Al Ghazi on the left as well. And maybe hopefully something happens and he can create a few chances or whatever. And I thought for 25 minutes, Villa looked like we were going to go on and sort of smash them, to be honest. I thought the way that we were playing, I thought, we started really well. We were attacking with intent. We were quick on the ball. We weren't, I think what we've seen over the last 4 months is Villa have been quite lackadaisical on the ball. They take their time. When they pay passes in between midfield, it seems like it takes like an extra half a second when compared to other teams. If you look at Leeds, Man United, West Ham, even to an extent, other teams in and around us, even the way that they pass the balls in between midfield seems to be a bit sharper and crisper. Whereas we've looked for the last 4 months, we've looked really a bit leggy almost. Maybe I don't know if it's fitness or whatever. So I was quite quite enthusiastic with our start, and I was quite excited to see what would happen in the game. But then, as soon as they scored, which was out of nothing really, completely against the run of play, I don't know what happened to us. We sort of lost it a bit.
Tempo went, didn't it?
Tempo went, and then we looked a bit, I don't know, a bit suspect at the back as well. And I don't know, what do you think? Because I know we've talked about this before, but that back five, it looks so solid, but there just seems to be a bit of a communication issue now between, especially the back three. The Konza didn't look at his best today. Martinez has made a couple of errors recently. I'm not really sure what's going on where we've looked so solid at the back. I think our defense is not looking as good as it once was. I don't know if that's, I don't know what there is to it.
I think it's a collective thing. I don't think you can put it down to just the back four and the goalkeeper. I just think collectively at the moment, as a whole team, and probably I include the coaching staff in that as well, we're not at the levels we were at the start of the season for whatever reason. I mean, that's for someone smarter than me to figure out why. But I felt we were in control of the game, probably for the first time in a while. Actually, I thought like you, we're moving the ball around quite nicely. It's quite crisp. The tempo is better than it has been. But then we get a setback, and we just don't react well to that setback. I mean, we'll come on to the penalties, but I think that's been something in the second half of the season. If we've had a setback, I don't think the response has been good enough. And again tonight, it took us ages to get going again. Once West Brom scored, and then we find ourselves 2-1 down at half time. I mean, Constance had an off night tonight. Both of the goals you could put down to him. Everyone's going to have an off night at some point. It's probably the first game where you can criticise him all season. Ezri Konsa has been one of our players of the season, and unfortunately tonight you could attribute a couple of goals down to him. I mean, our penalty, I thought it was a penalty. It's soft, but that's the modern game. I think it's always going to get given. I thought the defender from West Brom was clumsy. I thought it was stupid to do what he did. Barkley's bought the penalty, but it is a penalty. And then I suppose theirs is similar, although I thought it was a little bit softer. But then I don't know whether you were watching on BT Sport or a dodgy stream or whatever, but Peter Walton says, in the context of the game, the West Bromwich Albion penalty is a penalty. So is he saying that if that first penalty for Villa's not given, then that's not a penalty? I don't understand how that works. Surely a penalty is a penalty today. It should be a penalty on Wednesday.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
It shows you the mindset of referees, I think.
Yeah,
Peter Walton. I did see that, and I listened to that. And Peter Walton is terrible. Let's be honest. He is absolutely stealing a living on BT, isn't he? Because some of the stuff he comes out with, he never really gives any sort of insight, any sort of opinion. He normally backs the ref or he sits on the fence. It's pointless, I think. But what he's basically saying is the mentality of referees is in the back of their head, they're always looking to even out things. If they think they've got something wrong, or they think something's a bit controversial, then it's always I suppose it is a bit human nature, but there's always in the back of their mind they've got to even it out. It doesn't matter, two wrongs don't make a right. If the first decision is soft, doesn't mean you have to give another soft penalty. If it's not a penalty, it's not a penalty. I didn't really understand why the first one, R1, I understand why the referee's given it, and then I understand why VAR's sort of upheld his decision because it's
not a clear and obvious error.
It's not a clear and obvious error. It's a soft pen, but I can see on the face of it in real time, it looks like a penalty. Their penalty doesn't look like a penalty to me. It doesn't. What it looks like is maybe Konza's maybe touched his shoulder a little bit. You can't even see the his foot touching his foot, the player's foot. So I don't really understand why the referee's given it. And then after that, as soon as he's given it, yes, it's soft, but as soon as there's like a tiny bit of touch on the foot, then they're not going to overturn it, are they? Which is a shame. But I still think, even then, it's come out of nothing. We should react better.
That's what I'm saying. The reaction's not there at the moment. Is it because then you feel like West Brom, they're going to score the next goal? Obviously, Pereira hit the bar, lovely free kick. I can't work Pereira out. I can't work out whether he's really good or he's just a highlights player, because I didn't notice him greatly throughout the game. But then he had some moments where I thought, well, that's very nice. He's a decent player. He's going to be on the move in the summer. He's going to stick around in the Premier League. But I still feel like we're making our own problems, because suddenly we can't string passes together. There's no tempo. Like all the things that I thought were good all the things I thought were okay up into the goal suddenly weren't there. There was a passage of play of about 5 minutes before half time. McGinn made 2 sloppy passes in the space of about 10 seconds. Then El Ghazi tries to pass it to Target and he just knocks it out for a throw. And it just seemed contagious around the whole team then at that point, that they can't do anything right.
Yeah, I don't know. Confidence is down, isn't it? It really is. But I do worry. I mean, I said this on our pod on the last episode. I do worry about our sustainability of our performances and the way that we play, because it doesn't seem to me like I was thinking that we were going to develop, the way we were going to develop was Dino's come in, he's going to try and get us up, or either the season comes in, the season after, whatever way we can. And it's going to be on the back of Jack, basically, which is what happened. Then this last season in the Premier League, it was always going to be a difficult one because we had to make so many changes. So it was always going to be difficult to adopt a playing style or whatever. But
Yeah,
we went
too
sort
quick
of,
a turnaround.
yeah, too quick a turnaround, too many players. And we went gung ho, and then fair play to Dino. He sort of stepped it back a bit after the COVID period and changed things up, and we became a bit more solid. This season we've started this sort of counter-attacking fast style, a bit direct, but not sort of hopeless long balls. Sort of there's a pattern to it. There's
because you've got someone up top this season that can deal with that kind of thing as well.
But then without Jack there, then I think it's become more apparent to everyone that we don't really have a good way of playing it. We don't have too many good footballers in our team, and we don't keep the ball well enough. You look at other teams. Even I know Brighton are terrible, but just the way that they play football, etc. They all have an idea and way of play, and they can all keep the ball. They've got good footballers in the team, and we don't seem to have that. And we really struggle keeping the ball and sort of dictating play. And I think when we've not got Jack, we can't play that counter-attacking style, and we really suffer. And then as soon as one pass goes wrong, then I don't think we've got those players who can sort of, apart from maybe Louise, who's a bit off form, obviously, but we've got that composure to pick a pass out and in tight areas, play 1-2s, etc. We don't seem to have that in our team, and I don't know how we're going to get from where we are now to progress and be a better team in the way that we play, because I don't think that counter-attacking style is sustainable for the longer term, because teams work you out, and that's what they've done to us is they've all started to sit a little deeper. They've all stopped the quick free kick and things like that, things we were doing really well early on in the season. Teams work you out. So the only way to really progress is to have a style where consistently you can play it and you can sort of impose yourself in the game, and I don't think we have that. And I think we saw that today where McGinn, let's be honest, he's a cracking player, really end-to-end type of player, gung-ho type of player. But in terms of footballing ability, in terms of his control, his touch and his pass, it's not his strengths. His strengths are his hustle and bustle, his shooting, his sort of box-to-box energy. And I think maybe we need to start thinking about in the summer, trying to find maybe a different type of player in that midfield who can you can sort of like take hold of the ball and dictate the game a little bit and has good quality on the ball. But I do worry about that.
Yeah, the midfield's where it's wrong at the moment. I mean, without Jack, the whole team, something just seems to have been, they seem to be carrying, I don't want to sound like Jolie Lescott, but they seem to be carrying like a weight on the shoulders, all of them, that they can't do the things that they were doing before, because they are good. There's some good footballers there, because just because Jack Grealish is there, isn't there, sorry, it doesn't make them bad footballers, but without him, we seem to really struggle. We can't do the basics, and I do think most of the problems we've got at the moment, going both ways, it stems from the midfield. I think we're missing someone who can dictate the tempo of the game in central midfield, someone who can put their foot on the ball, like you've just said, and just dictate the tempo of the game a little bit. But also, there's not that physical play to break things up when you're under the cosh a little bit. When I think of Louise before, when we came back from COVID, the back end of last season, I was watching Louise and the interceptions. He was in the right place defensively. He was picking the ball up. He was making tackles. I can't remember the last time I saw him make a tackle. It just seems really strange how the whole midfield just seems really, really passive. And you could notice it today against an average team in West Brom.
Yeah,
they overpowered us. They looked the more likely to score for my money. I actually think they're in a little bit of a false position, because I do think if Allardyce was there from the start of the season, I think you probably see them up towards somewhere where Newcastle are points-wise. I actually don't think they'd be in the trouble that they're in now at all if he'd have been there to have his ideas at the start of the season. But I don't like seeing us get put under pressure by a team like West Brom on our own patch. And straight away, second half, 5 minutes, I think it was after half-time, they score, and constantly, it's not a mistake. He's fell. There's nothing he can do about it. He's had an unfortunate night tonight. Constantly, and then Mings has tried to bail him out, and unfortunately, it's ended up in the back of the net when it probably wasn't going in. But then, like you say, from then, we just struggled to do the basics, and we just didn't ever look like we were going to score, to be honest. I know we did, but I didn't feel like we were actually going to make something happen by playing football, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it was always going to be like a counter, always going to be a mistake from West Brom, and that's what I mean by imposing ourselves on the game. Early part of the season, even if you think about the Crystal Palace game as an example, we're down to 10 men, but we still imposed ourselves in our game. Yes, I mean the goals came from counter-attacks, but we still had quality on the ball and we made the right decision. And I think with Jack is partly confidence, obviously, and I think there is without Jack, I think he lifts the whole team. But also I think because he's able to hold on to the ball in high areas, then it means our midfield pushes up, and I think our midfield does better in sort of higher areas of the pitch. When Jack's on the ball on the left, we can play in and around him. We know if Jack's got the ball that he's going 9 times out of 10 he's going to keep hold of it. He's not going to lose it. And I think what happens now is when you give the ball to Traore or Ghazi, they're not quite sure whether they're going to hold on to it, whether they're going to make the right pass or right decision, which means the midfield steps off slightly a little bit, which means you don't keep the ball well enough. And that means, if for example, Grealish has got the ball on the left, then McGinn will push up alongside on the left. Watkins will come out to the left, Target will push up, and we'll play like sort of nice triangles or interact well with the midfield. Louise will come across and then spray the ball out to the right. We'll do that really well. But I think now we're lacking confidence, but we're also lacking the options, because I think in the back of everyone's mind they're thinking, well, Ghazi's got the ball or Traore's got the ball, he's gonna lose it. He's gonna run down a blind alley or do something stupid. And I think that it all sort of feeds into it and it all builds up, and eventually what you see is what you're seeing on the pitch, which is a team lacking confidence and lacking cohesion.
Yeah, we needed in this spell of no Jack now. It's 2.5 months, I think it is, without. And I think they say 13th of February was the last time Jack played. Now, I mean,
yeah.
Jesus Christ, it feels like it's been about 10 years since I saw him put on a Villa shirt. Now the way it's going, but we really needed certain players to step up. Probably, I don't want to single him out, but Traore is one who I thought when Jack was on the pitch. Oh yeah, Jack on one flank, Traore on the other. That's really good. He was popping up with goals. He was looking dangerous. Yes, he's always got an element of inconsistency about him. A lot of wide players do, but I thought, okay, this is a chance for him to step up now and take games by the scruff of the neck. But it hasn't really happened.
No, not at all. No, and it seemed to me like Jack was the main assister for Traore. I think he assisted most of his goals, but I thought, I like Traore, and I thought in spells today he looked okay, he looked decent, did some good things. But his overall performances for the last 4 months have been dire, really have been dire. He goes missing too often. And it's something we've raised in our pod as well, is I don't know what we're doing in terms of, in the Premier League, you need pace on the wing. And I thought Traore coming in, I didn't see too much of him. I thought, okay, I know he's one-footed and he's all left foot, but I thought he's going to be bringing pace to our team. I thought that was one of his main attributes, but he's not quick. He doesn't take players on. I don't understand what we're doing. We need a bit of pace in that team on the wing, and Traore doesn't bring that. And it does. I think if you've got a player who's inconsistent, then having pace does help. You've seen it with Adama Traore. It means you can create something out of nothing. You can create something on the counter or do whatever. But at the moment, because we've got no pace on the right wing and Traore is being inconsistent, then it means that anything that goes down that side ends up just down a blind alley, or we end up losing the ball and nothing ends up happening. And I don't know. It's his first season. He's got goals and assists, so fair play to him. But these last 4 months, it's the same as everyone really. He has been poor, but
it's a collective thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a collective thing. Yeah.
Other than maybe, I would say Target's game hasn't changed too much over the time Jack's been out. I think he's still doing his best. I don't think he's
Mr.
really
Consistent Target, isn't he? Yeah.
Very, very consistent in there. Watkins is doing the best with what he's got. I think it's not like he's missing chance after chance in games. He doesn't get loads of chances. He's been popped up with a few assists recently as well. Defence in the main, to be fair, has been solid. But even tonight, like, no Cash.
Yeah.
Nothing against Elmo. I thought he did okay. He did absolutely nothing wrong. But he's a different type of player to Cash. I'm not saying Cash is rapid, but he's going to give you something on the overlap. When you've got Traore playing the way he plays, and then you've kind of got Elmo hanging back to whipping the ball from deep as well. Yeah. That side kind of becomes a bit one-dimensional. And then we haven't got Jack on the left as well. El Ghazi's very up and down, albeit West Brom's a team that you'd play him against every time because he seems to love scoring against her. The flanks is suddenly not there. The centre of the park's not right at the moment. The defence has had a bit of an off day tonight as well. It's just a combination of everything seems to be going wrong at once.
We sound really down, don't we? I think
I got a smile on my face.
It's true.
Everything's going wrong at the same time.
Yeah, I think our defence is. You're completely right. Our defence for the main has been fantastic, and it's a great foundation for us to build on.
Yeah,
but we've definitely got issues in the wide areas, and I think Traore, he's much better when Cash is playing, because Cash allows him that opportunity to come back inside, which is on his favoured left foot. And Grealish being on the team and being on the left wing means that Traore does sometimes drift over to the left. and take up different positions or come a bit narrower, and it does help him. And I think he's better in that kind of position. Alma, I didn't think he had a great game, to be honest. I know he's saying he was okay, but he was. It's not. He didn't do anything wrong. I think he was just rusty, wasn't he? His crossing was off, and he got caught in behind a few times where he got sort of attracted to the ball a little bit. But he didn't do anything terribly wrong. But he's never going to be at the level of Cassius, and no. At the end of the day, Cassius made a mistake, so he deserves not to be playing. But we are lacking in those wide areas, and I wonder. I'll put this to you. I wonder in next season. We're obviously going to need to improve in those wide areas and probably midfield. But if we do sign a new striker, would you like to see Watkins play out from the wide? I don't mean as like as a winger or such, but as a wide forward. Because I thought what we did well in the first half today was that Watkins was taking up positions on the right and left. I thought he was sort of drifting out, and I think personally that Watkins can be quite effective from a wide position as a forward. He can still getting chances, still create chances, and he's got the pace. He's played on the wing before, and he may. That's one area that we're weak in. Why not improve it by having one of our best players there? But then I don't know. What do you think? Do you think we end up shooting ourselves in the foot and not having someone good up front? It just depends on who we sign up front, obviously.
I think in an ideal world this summer, we know we need to bring a striker in, and we know that we need to spend some money on a striker. Having one goal scorer at the club isn't really a sustainable model to go on season after season, although we've done it mind you, we didn't have a single goal scorer last season, but we've had trouble with strikers since we've been in the Premier League. I think most teams, you'll find their top scorer probably plays out wide. He's been crap this season, but Aubameyang for Arsenal plays from the left. Salah and Mane probably get 20 goals a season, albeit Mane hasn't a good season this time round. Teams have goal scorers that play out wide. I think because we're probably not going to sign Barkley, I think you'll probably see Jack shift into a number 10 next season. I think you've then got the option that you can play Watkins from the left. I think he'd do damage from the left. I think he plays a lot of his football from the left anyway. If you're signing a striker and you're spending money on a striker, they ain't going to come to sit on the bench. So you've got to have a plan, and we can't keep operating with one striker like we have been. It is not sustainable. So we're going to have to buy that striker. So I think what you're saying, I think it could work. I think the club are going to be alarmed by what they've seen over the last couple of months. I don't think they'd have probably planned to do as much business in the summer. I'll be looking at the centre of midfield and out wide and be thinking, yeah, we really need to improve here. Whereas maybe 2 months ago, they were thinking, oh, we might need a player there, a player here, but we don't need to do major surgery. I think what this bad run has done, it will have opened a few people's eyes at the club, and perhaps the checkbook's going to be out a little bit more than it was going to be prior to Jack's injury. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, it could be a blessing in disguise in the end.
Yeah,
because we were never. We're not going to get relegated. This is what everyone wanted, isn't it? And then they said, "What do you want from the season? You don't want to be in a relegation dogfight towards the end of the season. You want to be comfortable with the table, which is what we're at." But I suppose the concern and the worry is momentum. Is this bad run of form that we've had? Is that going to carry on next season? Is this the level that we're at without Jack? And that is a concern. But I suppose this is the level we were at last season with Jack. So that is an improvement, I suppose, in some respects. But I think it could be a blessing in disguise because it's highlighted, for instance, players like Trezeguet, El Ghazi, Elmo, maybe McGinn to an extent, not in terms of him. I don't think we should sell him or anything like that. But I think in terms of him being more of a squad player, say, it's sort of highlighted those types of players that we need to improve on. Whereas maybe if we had carried on doing okay, then maybe players like Trezeguet would have been, oh, well, he can play most of the games, or El Ghazi can be a good second option. Whereas now I think, you're right, we do need to improve. And, end of the day, I think the owners are ambitious. They will spend the money. I think we've seen that. But it's so hard, the Premier League, isn't it? You've seen, look at West Ham, for example. They've had so many years of struggle. They've spent so much money and they've finally just come good now. We've only had 18 months in the Premier League and a complete overhaul of that as well. It's not like we've been gradually building like Leeds. There's not the same team that's come up through the Championship and they've got a bit of solidity and they all know each other. We've got completely new players who are improving, and then adding to that squad with more players. And there's a lot of upheaval. There's no cohesion really. And it is difficult. I think Dino's done a brilliant job, but I do think we need to improve. And I do worry slightly that this momentum carries on next season. You see it all the time, don't you? You see it in the Championship where you see teams who go on a really good run at the end of the season, then end up next season, the season after, in the promotion spots or going for. You saw it with Sheffield United, for example, or you see teams coming down from the Premier League who have had a really poor run towards the end of the season to get relegated, then carry that on in the Championship. So I do think, and that's probably why we started the season so well, because we ended the season so well. So I do worry. I think we need to just hopefully Jack comes back in the next few weeks. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But we do need to pick up some results, I think, because I worry about our confidence going into next season, and unless we make big signings, and that brings the confidence. I don't know.
I kind of sympathise with everyone a little bit at the moment. I sympathise with the supporters because, to be honest, the last 10 games or so, they've not been pretty to watch. Hasn't been good to watch before. I feel for the team a little bit because, albeit they're not playing well, but they set such high standards at the start of the season, their expectation levels just completely grew. I think if, say, we're given absolutely no context, put the league table up, John, please. We're given no context. We're showing what the table's going to look like after 32 games. We'd looked at that at the start of the season and we'd have been like, great, brilliant. That is progress. That's exactly what we want. It ticks a lot of boxes for us. Defence looks good, 37 conceding in 32. We've scored some goals, won 13 games of football in the Premier League. You're looking at that with no context and thinking brilliant. But because the standards were so high, because we played so well, this last 10 games has probably felt worse because of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's annoying as well because I thought
the
back of my mind, I was thinking, even today, I was thinking, if we win today, then we've got Everton twice to play. We could break into that top 8, top 7 potentially if we do really well, have a really good end of the season. But it's just obviously Villa sort of bring you back down to earth. But even looking at our poor run, you look at games like Burnley away, Sheffield United away, and Newcastle away. All those 3 games, we should have really 8 more points. Even Burnley at home as well. Even how bad we've been, we should still be on 52 points, maybe 53 points, and then we'd still be in with a shout at top 6. That's the frustrating thing, because I think even though we've been poor and played poorly, there's been games where we've been poor that we could have done better out of, and we should have done better out of.
I mean, I might be looking at this completely wrong, but I look at that league table there, and the points feel low, except for City. The points feel low. City and Man U, discount them. But I'm sure 59 points wouldn't get you third at this stage of the season normally.
No, not at all.
Everything feels quite low, doesn't it? So, in general, it's just been a funny season for everyone. I mean, Liverpool have been absolutely garbage the entirety of 2021. But yeah, of course, they beat us at Anfield. I think that's the only time they picked up any points at Anfield this year, which again feels very typical Villa. But they're still in touch with fourth. Yeah. It just feels like a low season in general. So that's what annoys us as well, because we know this could have been our big chance to get top 6. This could have been our big chance to get top 4, and that's what we were all saying. You've got the COVID stuff as well. None of us know. I don't want to use it as an excuse, but realistically, none of us know the impact that's had. How would have our season gone if that hadn't have happened? How would the season have gone if Jack hadn't picked up the injury when he did? Even go back to November when Barkley got injured. The guy was playing well up until that point. He's come back and been a shadow of his former self. But every team will have those what-if moments. But on the face of it, just looking at it, it's progress. But because of what you're saying about the momentum, I think that's a massive thing. And I just want to end the season with a few victories just to get that gone, the momentum thing. I want to end on a positive. I do think that might be a bit difficult now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it feels like a lost opportunity, doesn't it? It feels like that it was there for the taking in this current environment, COVID environment. No fans in the stadiums. Teams struggling like Liverpool, teams like Tottenham, Chelsea even struggled a little bit under Frank. You thought, there's definitely a chance for us to do something special here, and you can't be helped when Grealish gets injured. I know we weren't that great with Grealish in the team since the start of the year. But even then, you've got Grealish in your team, you're going to pick up another 7-8 points from the games.
Yeah, he's a game changer.
Game changer, isn't it? So I think it just highlights, again, I think going back to the point around the blessings of skies, it highlights how much this squad still has to go to get to that top 6 position, or those challenging for top 6. I think there's players in that team who just aren't good enough. And I think I'm hoping it's highlighted to the owners as well. And probably why Dino's been so reluctant to make changes or use the team. You look at that squad and you look at the subs bench. How often
do you think today was terrible?
Yeah, you just think there's nothing there, is there? There's nothing there that's going to make a difference. And you do feel for Dino. At the same time, today, I think Dino made a mistake. He should have brought on Keenan Davis much earlier. But
100%.
Yeah, it sort of swings around of us. There's things we can sit here all day worrying about everything, but long-term trend, season on season, we've improved. But you've got to take into account the sort of shorter-term distortions of what's happened and factor that in. Because if we go on and if we lost every single game of the rest of the season now, then I think serious questions will be asked about Dino, and this feels weird to say because we've improved so much, but that momentum part is so important because it shows you the mentality of the team, the character of the team, the character of the management team as well, and what they can do to impact the team. Yes, without Grealish, we're going to miss him, but we should be doing better without Grealish still because Dino's been here for 2.5 years. We should be able to find a way to play and influence games without Jack in the team. There's no reason why. Yes, he's by far the best player we've got, but there's no reason why we can't do better without him. We need to find a way of playing without him, and hopefully that's what we improve on in the summer. Hopefully it doesn't matter. We never need to worry about him not being in the team because he's always going to be there. But you need to factor that in. The injuries do happen.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, in the chat that we've had tonight, I think we've probably gone through things from a lot of different angles, discussed a lot. It's hard to get your head around everything. I don't know what I keep doing. It's like a Steps music video and the tragedy. I keep doing it. I've been doing it non-stop on this video, and I'm really annoying myself by doing it. But I can't seem to stop myself doing it. But you know what? We've covered a lot of stuff even in the last 10 minutes there. It is hard to get your head around it all, because there is improvement. Not in the short term, but the long term there's just so much to go over. It's a bit of a head mess.
Minefield, isn't it? Yeah.
Really. Yeah. Like, I don't know what to think at the end of the season. There'll be a review, but Dean Smith can turn around and say to anyone, he can probably say, I've met the objective of the season, just like he could this time. Well, not this time, whenever we finish the season, last season, when he can turn around and say, I've met the objective, and he can do that the season before as well. So season upon season, progress. Yeah. But last 10 games, Jesus, I've not enjoyed watching us at all. I think we'll probably leave it there. Thanks ever so much, Omar, for coming on and having a chat. Always a pleasure to talk to you, especially when you've been fasting. I thank you ever so much for coming on. You wolfed down your food before you come. Really appreciate your time. And thanks to everyone for tuning in as well. And thanks to Purity for sponsoring us and their continued support of the channel. It really means a lot. I can't even remember when the next game is. Saturday night, isn't it? Next week, Everton. It's away, isn't it? The Villa Park game hasn't been arranged yet.
It hasn't been arranged yet. No. I'm sorry, why have they not announced that yet? Surely by now they should have figured out a date to play that game. Anyway.
Who knows? No, I never have a clue what's going on with the fixture arrangements. It feels like they get later and later telling you what time kickoffs are going to be.
I do feel like that, but the fans are a bit like most fans, apart from maybe Man City fans, so like just want the season to be done with, especially with what's happened with the Super League and stuff. Everyone's a bit like
the summer.
Yeah, exactly.
Get me to the summer. Let's get the checkbook out. Let's see what's happening. Thanks ever so much, and I'll be back next week, and there'll be a match preview in the week as well. Only one thing left to say: up the Villa.